We gonna spice it. We gonna make it spicy, but that's the only pass. You know what? Pass the hot sauce.
I
Okay,
love it.
ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. Welcome to a conversation with Floyd Marshall Jr., and I am your humble host. And today we are joined by the one and only Briana Cole. Now, who is Briana Cole? You would ask. Well, if you know anything about Tubi, Brianna has two of the hottest films on Tubi at the moment. She wrote both of them. The first one is Marriage Pass, and the second one is Played and Betrayed. And I've
Yes.
watched them both, and they are both absolutely amazing films. Oftentimes with Tubi, it is hit or miss, but these two films are definitely hits. So you definitely want to go over to Tubi. You want to check out Marriage Pass, and especially you married couples or anyone in a seriously committed relationship, you want to check that one out. And Played and Betrayed as well, because that is a relationship film as well. If you get down to the nuts and bolts of it. But enough of myself. Brianna Cole,
Yes.
filmmaker, writer, author. Welcome to a conversation with. How are you?
Thank you. I am great. I appreciate the invite. I am honored to be here. I thank you so much.
Okay, I see you. I see you're rocking the Marriage Pass
I got my
gear.
merchandise.
You got to put that up so people can see. You know, you got the Marriage Pass gear going on.
Yeah, my boyfriend, he's a gem. He got it made for me so I can kind of wear my work. And it's a conversation piece. I get people who stop me all the time and it's like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, a movie. Have you seen it? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to talk about your marketing prowess. I was listening to another podcast that you did, and a young lady was referring to the fact that you're pretty good at marketing. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I became aware of you, and this is, this is no shade, because the industry is big. There are a lot of people in it. There are a lot of extremely talented people in it, and sometimes you just don't know about people, and that's the
Absolutely.
phenomenal thing about watching movies. So my wife and I, we were sitting down, movie night, we do that, and we came across the first film, Marriage Pass, and we were like, well, what is this about? And we watched it, and then we were so impressed with it. We said, okay, that's great. And then I saw Played and Betrayed, and then I happened to be in a group. I don't know if it was the best Tubi movies on Facebook, and I think I saw you talking. I think it was either that or Black Screenwriters. I'm not sure.
I'm in both, so probably, yeah.
And I said, oh, I got to get her on the show, because I have to find out what's going on with that movie. So you know
Yeah.
what? I'm talking too much because I'm so excited. So one thing that I normally like to ask all of my guests when they come on my show is, how did you get started in this industry, or as a writer?
Well,
Period.
as a writer, period, I've been a writer all my life. I started out as a reader, as most authors do. And I remember being 6, 7 years old when my dad bought me a typewriter, and I would just crank out little short stories and draw the pictures and stuff. And like I said, it was amazing just immersing myself in these worlds with some of the greats that I looked up to, like Carl Weber, Omar Tyree, and Kimberly Lawson Roby, Victoria Christopher Murray, Rashana Tate Billingsley, all these amazing authors that I used to dream about being, having my books and my stories alongside theirs in bookshelves. I was the kind of kid who I just loved to read. I loved to write. I didn't even watch much TV. My mom used to
Mm.
joke like, well, if you get in trouble, I got to take away your books to put you on punishment, because I didn't do anything. Um, I always knew I wanted to write. I tried to find myself to determine like what I wanted to write. I dabbled in a little bit of everything. Like when I was in high school, I started a greeting card business
Mm.
called Heartfelt Expressions. And I was writing poetry and making greeting cards and selling them. And that was pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty nice. Then I went out to Georgia Southern University and majored in creative writing. And I published my first book in 2014. I think it's been 10 years. So since 2014, I've had 10 books published. And just recently, within the past 4 to 5 years, I moved into screenwriting because I mean, it's kind of like every author's dream to have your book in film and to see it on TV. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, why don't I learn how to write scripts so that I could kind of move in that direction? So since then, like for the past 4 or 5 years, I've had 7 produced films, of course, Marriage Past and Played and Betrayed being 2 of those. And I was also a staff writer on season 2 of Lace, currently streaming on All Black. And I'm a self-taught screenwriter. So everything I know, everything that I learned, I'm learning is just research and asking questions and just soaking up the knowledge and soaking up the industry because I want to be successful and I just enjoy it. So, like I said, I've always enjoyed creating, and these are just different mediums that I create.
So you are a self-taught screenwriter.
I am.
Did you find it difficult transitioning from writing novels to writing screenplays?
Um, Not necessarily, and I say that for me because in addition to writing, I'm also an actress as well. I don't know if you can tell how animated I am. I'm also an actress. I've been a theater buff. I love theater, and I've been in a number of productions and musicals since the 7th grade. So when I started transitioning into film and television, it was a way for me to kind of marry my 2 passions, especially because I had experience in front of the camera and on stage as well. And it allowed me to kind of bring those worlds to life. It's still creating, but again, it's just a different medium. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't too difficult. It was just, learning what worked, learning what didn't work, just learning the industry, learning the formats and, script writing software and the little nuances like that. But outside of that, it was just me just writing tons of scripts, just and reading tons of scripts. And I wrote a few bad ones because I had to learn, but I was just so focused on getting better and I just kept going and practicing. It's like a muscle. I had never used that before. And it just, again, was a different way to tell my stories. And so I just dove in it head first.
Oh, okay. So you are a very prolific writer. You've written screenplays, you have films on platforms,
Mhm.
Peacock, Tubi. Where do you come up with your ideas? How do you come up with fresh ideas?
Life. Life. Let me just tell you, like, I am in no short supply of ideas. I'll tell you that. Ever since I was little, and this is back in the day, I used to carry around a notebook, and
Mm,
any kind of ideas that I got, whether it was I was out in the world at school, or it was something that somebody said, or it was something that I read, maybe in the news, or just something that just came to me, and I would write it down. I would write it down, and my mother would hate that because she would say, "Oh, I got to be careful what I say around you. I'm going to end up in a story." And I'm like, "Yeah, you kind of do, because there's no shame in my game." So I would write it down, and even now I still do that. I don't carry a notebook, but on my
mhm.
phone, I'm always writing down ideas as I get them. And like I said, it just comes from just life. I mean, you can be at the mall and hear a bit of a conversation, and that can kind of start your gears going. You know what I mean? Like, I came up with one of my books ideas. It's about a woman who was invited into a polyamorous relationship with a man and his 2 wives. I got that idea from watching TV. I was watching one of my favorite shows, Say Yes to the Dress. And she said, they came in to look for a wedding dress, and she said, "We're looking for a dress for our husband. We're getting married to him." And I was like, "Whoa, hold up now. There could be something there." So yeah, it's just, I don't know. Once you kind of get a little nugget, you just twist it and grind it and massage it and just kind of, let it fester a little bit, and it just kind of comes to life. I don't, it's just, I guess creativity, I say, is my superpower, because it's like, it just, I mean, I've had certain times where I'm kind of like, "Oh gosh, how do I do this with this story? I may have this idea. I don't know how to flesh it out." But
Mm.
then I procrastinate on that by going to something different. And I go to a different idea or a different story. And it's like, "Oh, I'm going to work on that one." So yeah, they come, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, when I was actually writing it's been a minute. I'm decided to get back into it,
Yeah.
but when I would do plays, because I produced a couple of plays and
Oh, that is so
short films
awesome.
and things like that.
Uh-huh.
It's been a long time. And one thing that I would always say to the actors is nothing writes like real life.
There
And
you go.
when I would listen to a lot of writers, the one thing they would suggest to aspiring writers or people just starting out is if you want to write something, go sit on a park bench,
Basically,
go walk
yes.
around.
Go
And
walk around, go to the mall, just go around people. You would be surprised how many ideas could just come from just visually seeing somebody, and that story just starts to take shape, that background for that character, and what brought him here, and why he looks upset, why is he upset today, what happened, things like that. It just kind of starts blooming on its own. So I agree with you 100%.
yeah, it's amazing. I was watching a scene, Nicolas Cage and the gentleman that, oh my gosh, what was the name of that show? Succession, the
Okay.
father. And the father was on stage talking to Nicolas Cage. I guess Nicolas Cage wanted to give him his screenplay. And
Hmm.
the gentleman was really upset because he was saying, if you're saying that there's nothing to write about, there's a problem. He said, something's always going on in the world. Something's always happening. So for you to sit here and tell us that you have nothing to write about, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I love it though. I
Yeah.
I can agree with that though. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
life. Like I said, life is happening. It's just like I said, I 100% agree. Whether it's just out in the world or a park, like you said, or out at the mall or the grocery store, or it's a news, something that happened in the news, and you can expound on that. And I have 3 kids. I listen to their conversations all the time. Like what's
Mhm.
going on at school and stuff, and I'm like, what? It's always something.
Yeah, and it's so true because sometimes if I'm out and I'll just not being nosy, but I'll look in a
Yeah.
car and I'll see the body language
Yeah.
and I'm saying, okay, so what could I do with that? Why is
Mhm.
she turned away from him? Is she
What
mad? Or is she just
what
looking
is he
out the window
doing?
at something? Or, what's he feeling with? What's going on? And it's so many different ways that you could play with that. And that's the beauty of
Absolutely.
writing. It's your story. You can do whatever you want. So, leading into that, my next question for you is
Mhm.
when you are about to sit down and write, how important is it for you to outline your script?
Honestly, I've realized now, having written a number of scripts, how I realize that it is important for me. Now, I come from, like I said, the author world. I was writing books, and I didn't typically outline my books. I may have kind of put some bullet points of things that needed to happen, but I didn't really outline. But as I got into scripts, I realized that it helps tremendously to have that roadmap. And again, not saying that you are confined to that outline where you can't have creativity and branch off and this, that, and the other. But it's a good, like I say, roadmap to ensure that your pacing is good, that you are including everything that needs to be included, that there are no plot holes, that you kind of have in your mind the inner workings of things. So it just kind of makes it, for me, writing a little bit more seamless. So now at this juncture, I always outline. Like I said, I didn't used to,
Mhm.
but until when I started seeing the importance of it, because I was doing it for a few producers who hired me on to write, and they told me that I had to do the outline, and I was like, ah. But then I did it, and then come time to write the script. Oh man, I could write the script in like a week, because
Mhm.
the bones were there, it was there. It was just fleshing it out. So for me, it is important. But I know plenty of screenwriters who don't use it, and I say do whatever works for you, honestly.
Right. So you're in the screenwriting process. You end up writing the script. How
Hmm.
important are your rewrites?
Very important. Very important. Very, very important. So, where I am now, like I said, I'm working with producers, and typically I'm hired on to write a script for them, and we always have rewrites, always, always, always. But even with the scripts that I'm writing on my own, independent of producers, and I'm wanting to pitch like my own ideas and my own scripts, I do realize it is important to kind of get some good feedback, get coverage and different, like, reputable coverage. And from those who are in the industry, they have plenty of, plenty of platforms and stuff like that that offers that service. It is important to get that feedback so you can do your rewrites. I know I was in that majority of people. That first draft is perfect. Nothing you need
Mm.
to do with it is perfect. It's ready. And it's like, no, it's not, and it's so funny that I even go back and look at some of my old scripts now, and I'm like, or even with certain movies that are produced movies. I'm watching the movie. Now, mind you, it's produced. It's out there. It's out there in TV land. And I'm watching it and I'm like, I probably should have cut that scene a little bit. It seems to be dragging to me. But now mind you, that's the finished product. But I'm
Mm.
still like, it's like you can always find just something a little bit, So those revisions are very important. Get it nice, succinct, tightened up, and polished so you have the best possible project that you can do.
Yeah, a lot of screenwriters that I follow, they say that the rewrite is the right.
Basically, yeah. Basically, that first draft, you just and I use that same idea, like even with my books. That first draft, you're just getting it out there. My star Victoria Christopher Murray, she was the one that told me, called a vomit first draft, and I applied that even with my scripts too. You're just getting it out on the page. It's so much easier to revise words than a blank page, right? But the idea is there, and once it's out, it's like putting the clay, if you're making a sculpture and you put the clay on the pottery wheel, you know what I mean? And then once the clay is there, clunk, yeah, it looks ugly and terrible and messy. And what is this? The thing you start sculpting and molding it into something really beautiful. Those are your revisions and rewrites. Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you found that in your rewriting, because again, when I was writing, I'm out and about in my day, my
Yeah,
characters talk to me.
all
And
the time.
sometimes what you would put on the page, yeah, sometimes what you would put on the page, they would start talking, and you're like, you
Yep.
know what? I got to go back and change that because this
Yep.
entire conversation has changed because they've said something. It's still in I guess the parameters of the story,
Yeah.
but the conversation has changed and it's become more streamlined. Do you find that happening to you a lot?
Oh yeah, all the time. I can be in the middle. I'm actually in the middle of writing. I just finished up literally 3 scripts at the same time. At the same time. Oh my goodness. So those are done. Now I'm on to the 4th script. And even now I'm like on page 40 of the script, and I'm finding, like you say, the characters are talking to me, but I'm already like, I'm taking the story in a different direction and I'm making changes in the story at midpoint, things that
Mhm.
I know I'm gonna have to go back in so that there are no plot holders like coming out of the blue. I'm gonna have to go back in and make sure that thread, that narrative is consistent throughout. And so when I have to do that, I have to do that because again, I trust my characters. And to me, when they start talking like you're saying, that's when they're authentic. That's when their voices shine through. And I'm just the vessel, just bringing it to life. But they're the ones that are like, giving me what to say. And I know it sounds, maybe a little off, but I mean, if we're creators, we may be a little off anyway. That's what they say. But yeah, absolutely. I let them do their thing. I trust the process. And yeah, I have to go back in and do some things that are different when they take me in a different direction. But they're driving. I'm just in the passenger seat.
Yeah, that's so
So
funny because I remember years ago when I was driving the bus and
uh
I'm sitting at the light and I'm talking to myself. And this
hmm
woman's standing there and she was like, "Who are you talking to?" I said,
you
"I'm talking
talking
to my characters." And she said, "Oh, I'll get off here." She thought she thought I was crazy,
you know
but I
what?
wasn't. I was talking to
Yeah,
I was having a real conversation
I
because
get it.
if you're not a writer, and I think that when people who don't write don't understand that once you put them on paper, they are actually alive.
They really are. But that's what you want, Floyd. That's what you want because you want those characters to jump off the page where people who are reading, or even if you're doing a movie and people who are watching, they'll be able to pick these people out of a lineup. They'll be able to love and hate and feel emotions for these kids. That's what you want. That's how you know you're being effective with your development and what you're doing. So I wholeheartedly agree. If they're not talking to you, you may need to go back and do a little bit more development with them because they need to be alive. They do.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that
Mhm.
you wrote on the second season of Lace on All Black.
Yeah.
Dope.
Mhm.
How did that happen?
All right. So the one thing, and it's almost to you, you kind of said we were going to touch on a little bit with marketing. One thing that I am a huge advocate for is networking. Networking in any industry, especially. But man, oh man, in the creative industry, networking will take you so much further than just your talent alone. It'll put you, leaps of bounds in front of the competition. So I was able to get onto Lace from networking. So basically, I pitched a producer, right? I pitched a producer a project that I had. Just and I, got her information again through my network or whatever. And I, because I've been at Essence Fest, I was a speaker at Essence Fest. I've, kind of mingled with like-minded individuals. I was able to get her information. So I pitched her and sent her an email about a project that I had. She loved the project. She optioned a script from me. It was one of my book to film adaptations. She optioned it. And then I didn't really hear from her. She optioned it, but when you option it, people may think that it's like, okay, well, it's as good as made. But when it's optioned, that producer is trying to find a home for it and garner interest and make sure. You know what I mean? So that's the first step. Pivotal step, but the first step. That doesn't mean it's going to be guaranteed to be made. So she optioned my script. And then this same producer was actually a producer on Lace. She was the creator and producer on the Lace TV series. So while she was optioning my script, she came back to me because she saw that I was a great writer. She saw what I did in the script that she liked. And she was like, hey, we're, opening up a writer's room for season 2. Would you be interested? Now, mind you, there was no favoritism or anything. I still had to apply. I still had to write a spec script. I had to do my interview. I had to do it because it wasn't just her making the decision. There was a team of people who were making the decision of who was going to come into the writer's room. So I had to, go through the whole process. And when I did, I had my interview. I had to spec a script, meaning I had to write a script for a TV show that's already out there so that they could see if I knew how to capture the voice of characters of a show that I had never written on. Could I come into the room and be able to capture the essence of this show? So I did. I spec one of my favorite shows, Scandal. I wrote an episode for Scandal, and they loved it. I did the interview. We had a great interview and they selected me. So I was brought into the writer's room for season 2. I want to say we were on for 13 weeks where we wrote 8 episodes. I wrote 4 of those episodes. And that was an amazing experience. It was virtual. It was a virtual writer's room. They were in LA. I was in Atlanta. And it was a total of, I want to say it was 4 of us. It was 4 writers and a writer's assistant in the writer's room. And oh my gosh, it was great. I had never written on a TV show before. It just was super awesome. Great experience. And yeah, now I got some TV credits to my name.
Wow. So with that experience coming from basically the independent world, and
Mhm.
now you're in the Hollywood television world, what did that teach you about the differences between how things are done on an independent level and how things are done on a studio level, even though it was virtual? Are there major differences in how they operate as a indie as opposed to studio?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, with a lot of things, when you the higher up, if you will, if you get into the Hollywood-esque world, as far as now you're on projects with bigger budgets and stuff like that, things are going to operate a little bit different. You know why? Because now we got more money we need to be dealing with, and we ain't playing no games. You know what I mean? Compared to when you are on an independent level, you may be working with a smaller budget, more streamlined, maybe with people wearing multiple hats, so you may be talking firsthand to the writer, director, and producer. It's all one person, you know what I mean? So things like that, I kind of saw like the hierarchy, the operations, but at the end of the day, it's all business. It gave me kind of insight of what I'm aspiring to do, because I do want to eventually show run my own TV series and get into more writers' rooms and all of that. So it kind of gave me a good little taste of what to expect. And again, knowing how to handle myself in a writer's room in a collaborative environment, because mind you, previously with movies and stuff, it's kind of just been me. But now I was in a writer's room where I may have ideas and they have ideas, and we all have to kind of come and collectively decide on something. And my ideas may not always work. It may be stupid. And it's kind of like, well, you got to just have a tough skin and keep it pushing, because at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the project. We have the same goal in mind. So whatever that looks like, and you kind of have to come together and have a meeting of the minds with that. So yeah, it's different. But again, I'm just, I'm sure on even bigger budget TV shows, you're talking about Power and Bel Air and, How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal and some of these Grey's Anatomy, these bigger shows, I'm sure it's even way different then too. So,
right.
So yeah.
So right now you have approximately 7 films out there that you've had a hand in writing, co-writing. How were you able to get so many films made? Now you did touch on the fact that networking is so vital and is extremely important. And I am such an advocate for building organic and true relationships, not transactional. Don't come with no transactional relationship stuff.
There you go. That's the key word there.
You have been involved in 7 films. So how did you get so many films made or had a part in getting made?
I think for me, well, of course, like you said, first off, I'm going to push it and push it and push it till I'm blue in the face. I wholeheartedly agree. You need to be cultivating and pouring in and nurturing organic relationships and network building in order to get in front of those people so you can show what you can do. So that helped me tremendously, because my projects some of them were word of mouth. Some of them were, well, she did good with this, so we want to put her on this. For example, the producer who I just mentioned about optioned my script, right, and had me in her writer's room for Lace. She was the one that told me, gave my name to another producer. And that producer was looking for a writer to come on board on their supernatural thriller that they were filming in Ghana. And she was like, I got somebody for you. Look at Briana. And we were able to connect. So, of course, the network, absolutely. Being consistent and putting out good quality work, being flexible, and understanding the business. Because like I said, you mentioned it earlier about like rewrites and stuff. If I have actually replaced 3 writers on recent projects that I'm on, like those scripts I just said, I came on board to replace the writer that they already had, because the writer was not giving them what they needed. Okay. So that's when I get on, like, it's important to know the audience, know the people who you're writing for, know what you're doing, and then being open and flexible to learning and giving them what it is that they want. Because like I said, you can't come on board and that draft you give them is like, oh, it's perfect. I don't want to. No, you need to be open to, hey, no, you need to revise this, because at the end of the day, they're putting their money behind this, and this is how they want it. This is what I'm going to give them. And then also, like I said, being consistent. And for me, fast turnarounds, that has helped me tremendously as well, because like I said, with these projects that I just did, I came on board and they were already behind. These are movies that are already slated to start production, and they didn't have a script. And I was like, well, here I am. And one script I had to turn around in 2 weeks, and one script I had to turn around in 1. And I was like, I have never written a script that fast. But not only did I write it, I gave them good quality work. And then it gave them what they needed, and we could do the revisions for it. So, and like I said, understanding the business. Well, I've been on a lot of movies as well, as far as having a hand in it, because I don't always produce. I've produced some, right? Meaning getting into the production side of it. But then others, I've just sold the script, like with The Marriage Pass. I had no hand in production. I just sold them the scripts. So they bought it, they paid me for it, and they took it off, and they filmed it and cast and locations and all that good stuff. I had no hand in that. I was moving on to writing Played and Betrayed. So I didn't have to worry about what they were doing over there with the filming. I was done. I already got my check. Got my credit. And now I'm working on the next script, right? And now Played and Betrayed is done. Now they're going to film. Now I'm moving on to the next script. You see what I mean? Keeping it consistent and really, like I said, delving into it and giving them good quality stuff consistently.
So I was going to ask you about Marriage Pass, but before I
Yeah.
do that, as I'm sitting here listening to you, you're talking about people talking about you and word of mouth. I,
Hmm.
I want to talk really quickly about having integrity in this business,
Yeah,
because that was the one word, because I've listened to a couple of interviews that you did, and the one thing that keeps coming through is you have integrity. The fact that
absolutely.
you're doing motivational speaking and things like that, and you're sharing you. So how important, if someone is just coming in this business, how important is it to have and to keep your integrity intact?
You can't, don't let the glamorous side of Hollywood, if you will, get you off your path. You know what I mean? Like I came into this business. By the time I started screenwriting, mind you, I'd already been an author already for 5, 6 years by the time I had moved into screenwriting. So I was pretty settled in myself, my voice, my narrative, and the stories that I wanted to write and the things that I wanted to do. And I did not let money or people or anything compromise that, because that's what was important to me. I feel like I did that early on in my author career. And at the end of the day, I was not pleased with myself because I was like, yeah, these stories, these are not the stories that I want to tell. This is not what I want to do. I want to write, but I still want to preserve that integrity and stay true to myself. That was very important to me. So if you're coming into the business, I think it's important to learn, soak up everything, absolutely absorb it, take advantage of the opportunities for sure. But at the end of the day, really have a moment to yourself to realize what your boundaries are, and what you are willing to do or compromise on or bend on or whatever that looks like for you. I can't tell you that. Whatever that looks like for you, and knowing at the end of the day, are you able to sleep at night? You know what I mean? And knowing, are you able to, be proud of what it is that you have your name attached to? My name is so important to me. So that's why you never have to worry about Briana Cole doing no shady business or stealing or whatever, like all the stuff that goes on, because I've worked so hard to preserve my name, and to really have my name in these rooms that I haven't stepped into yet. And so that's why I'm like, I do everything to uphold that, everything in my power, because that's what I have. Before you even meet me, before you even call me onto your show or introduce yourself to me, you just had my name, and it was like, if you have a negative association with that, that is going to be detrimental to you. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I try to keep in the forefront of how I move and how I conduct business and how I stay true to myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you would have been on this show, because I'm not bringing nobody shady on here. Because guess what?
Exactly. See, that's what I'm
Guilty,
saying.
guilty by association. So
Exactly.
if I'm associating with shiesty people, then they're like, "Well, Floyd, that's how you get down."
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we're not doing that, because
Exactly.
we're building something over here, ladies and gentlemen. But
There
it's
you go.
but what you were talking about with the integrity, I interviewed this wonderful woman by the name of Danita Patterson. She's a creative producer in Hollywood, amazing woman that I happened to meet on Clubhouse, and built a phenomenal relationship over the last few years, just unbelievable. And she talked about being in Hollywood for over 30 years and how there's a lot of identity theft
It is.
going on in Hollywood. And she wasn't talking about someone actually stealing your social security number. She was talking about how Hollywood people get sucked in and their identity is stolen. So
Hmm.
it's very refreshing. And I hope people, when you replay this, you listen to what Brianna was talking about as far as keeping your integrity, because if you allow it, they will steal your identity. And one
Yeah.
day you'll look up and you won't even recognize who the hell you are.
You'll lose yourself in this. And yeah, I well, 100%, 100%. It's one of those dog eat dog world businesses. Like I said, just it's so rewarding, so fulfilling. You get to do what you love, create. Like, people come to you and pay you to do what you would do for free, create.
Mhm.
Like, that's what I do. But like you said, it's so easy to kind of let the glitz and glam and the Hollywood-esque vision of how you think it is, and then before you know it, you're kind of sucked in there, and really not on the positive side of things anymore. So I agree. You do have to kind of just be mindful, stay strong in yourself, and stay true to yourself.
Yeah. So let's talk about Marriage
Let's
Pass.
talk about it.
It's an amazing film.
Thank
What
you.
was the you are so welcome because it was the bomb. What was the idea behind Marriage Pass?
So The Marriage Pass is a book. It started off as a book. I originally published this book as a short story or a novella, I guess, in December of 2016. And I remember all of this because I had just published two books prior to that. And I was kind of just, I hadn't written any more books, but I wanted to still keep my name out there. I wanted to remember I was still coming into the industry, the author world, and trying to build up my brand and get followers and get people reading my stuff. So I was like, well, you know what? I had published a book in 2014, published a book in 2015. I was like, I don't have anything for 2016, so I need to do something. So I self-published a small short story or a novella, like a little novella, called The Night Before Christmas. And that's exactly what it was about. It was about a couple who exchanged a hall pass for Christmas in this sense, and he uses it with his wife's sister, and then lots of scandal from there. And the idea came to me when I was watching, there's a movie with Owen Wilson called Hall Pass, which is a comedy, and it's about these three couples who exchange a hall pass with their spouses for like a week, and everything that could go wrong goes wrong. It's hilarious. So
I
I
saw it. I saw it.
now I don't do comedy though. So I was like, well, let me take that concept, right, and put it, put some color on it, put some melanin in it, and really up this scandal and the thriller and a drama with this same concept. So thus The Night Before Christmas was born. That was published in December 2016. It went really, really good. Like I said, it was self-published. So I did everything behind it, the marketing, the cover, editing, getting it up there on Amazon, all of that. So then when I got with my traditional publisher, now I'm in the traditional space. So my books are available on Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, etc. They were asking me about, my book deals and what story ideas I had. Well, my literary agent at the time, Love Entice, she was the one that pitched them and was like, well, Briana has this self-published book, small little novella called The Night Before Christmas. The idea was dope. Do you want the idea? And they said, yeah. So we took down The Night Before Christmas. We fleshed it out into a full-length novel. I doubled the size, changed the character names, changed the cover, added some extra elements. And then The Marriage Pass was born. And that one was published in February of 2021. So now by this time, remember, I'm into the film space now, teaching myself, kind of getting my hand into that. And my wonderful agent, she's the one that said, yo, you need to write the script for this, because that book went viral when it came out. It was in Shade Room. It was in Sophisticate's Hair Magazine and Pop Sugar and all these different blogs and articles and things like that, because it was just so juicy. It's just scandalous. So she was the one that said, write the script. So I did. I wrote the script and I pitched the script to the producers. And they loved it. Like, when I say they loved it, the ink was not dry on the contract before they were already filming it in Canada. That was crazy how fast that went. So yeah, when things align, when things are supposed to be.
Yeah. And again, watching that film, I don't want to give anything away because I want people to actually go and watch it. But first of all, you know what? Let's go back to the book. I'm not even going to talk about the film because
Okay.
I can take some things, or I can garner some things from the book from watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he decide? What you can tell, why did he decide to go with the sister? Because from what I'm thinking, he had his eye on her for quite some time. So what was it about the sister? Now, and was it different from the movie? Because I know what happened in the movie.
That part was the same. That part was the same. And if you read the book and watch the movie, you'll see that some things are different, but the essence of the story is definitely the same. It's just told in two different forms. The thing with the sister, I think that my guy, Dorian, he just was thrilled by this new, fresh just new and fresh, just new, exciting. He had, got in this little humdrum marriage and things had got stale. And she was just new and fresh and exciting. And that was thrilling to him. And then I also wanted to use the sister because if you remember from the movie, which is also in the book, she told him, his wife told him that there were no rules. So I wanted that to be a conversation piece like, okay, well, she said it was no rules, but technically, did he cross the line? I mean, she said it was no boundaries, but technically, was that an unspoken rule? Like, how does that work? And where does that line go? So I really wanted to kind of explore that with, readers and viewers to kind of have that discussion like, well, no, because she said no boundaries, no rules, no questions. And it was like, but the sister though, come on, so it made it just added the scandal. Added the scandal.
Yeah. Really, y'all, come on, player. Come on, player. All right.
Here you
You get a pass.
Yeah.
Your wife says, go on out there and handle your business, homie.
And
Go ahead.
business.
Do you.
Yeah.
There are thousands of beautiful women out there that she don't know,
Everybody.
ain't
You
got
can
no
show
association with. But
everybody.
what you turn around and do is with all of those beautiful women, he was successful, supposedly, nice looking brother.
Yeah.
You picked the sister.
Listen,
She was in the club with a bunch of other really nice looking women.
that
But
was just
you
nasty work.
player.
Nasty work. You hear me?
Yo, I see you asking for trouble because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Again, I make no secret of it. I've been married for a very long time.
Yeah.
So there are just certain things that you don't do
Right.
because even if you're given permission,
Right.
even if you do that thing they give you permission for, you are going to run into some stuff because they're going to
Absolutely.
be looking at you saying, yeah, I did give you permission, but I didn't think that you would take it there.
There. Right. That tells me that tells me more about your character than
Yes.
anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because again, as we were talking, before we got on air, I'm even if I were given a hall pass, I'm not taking it because you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I love and respect my wife way too much for that. Like I said earlier, babe, go throw on a wig and we'll
There
go
you
somewhere
go.
different. But I'm not doing that because I'm not looking to ruin the sanctity of what we have built for.
Mhm.
And look, we're all adults on this program.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to tear something down for a piece of ass. And
Right.
that's exactly what he did. But again, but as you watch the film, you saw that him sleeping with his sister was just the tip of the iceberg
Tip of the iceberg.
with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. It's so much more. It's so much more involved with this story. That's why I think I had so much fun writing it because you really got to add layers and develop these characters. And oh my gosh, the actors just brought it. But agree, that was just the tip. It's so much. It's like when, like you said, the Titanic, when the iceberg, the part that they see on top of the water is like
Mhm.
this. All that iceberg underneath the water, like it's so much more going on.
Yeah, and he was a big iceberg.
Yeah.
He was an extra large
he
iceberg.
was he was a big something.
And
Hey,
well, I'm not going to say nothing because I'm not going to say anything because I want you guys to go see this movie because it was that dope. But the one thing that I really loved about both the films, and we're going to talk about Played and Betrayed. The thing that I liked about your films were the characters were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And they conducted themselves, even though he was shady, they conducted themselves in such a way that as a Black person watching Black people on the screen, I did not cringe. And unfortunately, a lot of films on Tubi, they don't do that for me. A lot of times I'm sitting there saying, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. I've been a filmmaker for a very long time. If you make a film, God bless you because it takes a lot to make a film.
Hmm.
but we got to get better at the types of films we make. I'm not going to preach, but the thing that I loved about both of your films was the fact that they were watchable. There was no gratuitous sex, there was no gratuitous nudity. And unfortunately, a lot of the films on Tubi, for some strange reason, and I want you to, can you speak to this? When I'm watching some films, the way you wrote yours, it was all about your story, but it wasn't about fluff. And I see a lot of films where, okay, if she takes off all of her clothes, that's going to grab me.
Yeah.
What's the difference, do you think, with how you write as opposed to some people saying, I got to do this in order to catch that audience?
Because like you just said, you hit the nail on the head. For me, it starts with the story. Like I can't before a cameraman, before a director says action or an actor steps on that set or whatever, you gotta have a good story. That's what it starts with. That's what it starts with. And if I don't do my job as a screenwriter, there's really nothing that a dope actor can do to kind of revive a very, very bad story. Like there's really not much they can do. Like we've seen some great actors and actresses in not so good movies. And it was like, what happened? We know the actress is amazing. What happened? Something was not firing there. So I do everything in my power to make sure I give them something that with substance, something that is substance. And the story is so important to me because I know what I like to see. I know what I like to watch. Or with my books, I know what I like to read. And that's the kind of stuff that I bring, and I in turn relay that for the audience because it's like, well, if this is what captured me, I'm reading lots of scripts, I'm watching lots of movies, and I'm like, if this is what is capturing me, then I'm gonna, take some of those same types of, things and pepper that throughout my script. Not stealing or nothing. When I please let me be clear when I say that. I'm not stealing anything, but getting to the root of, okay, this is your favorite movie. Why did you like that? Oh, I love the romance between that. Romance was so good. They took time to really develop the romance with these characters. Okay, boom. There we go. That's something. Why did you like that movie? Oh man, that action was insane. Like, did you see when they was okay? So good action. Taking these types of things that draw you to those movies and putting that and into your body of work, and telling your story in those same fashions because you see that's what works. So yeah, absolutely. For me, it starts with the story. And I've gotten so spoiled now, being you're a filmmaker, when you're watching a movie now, and I'm like, oh, that script to approve this.
Mhm.
No, baby, that's not it. So yeah, I really use that as a learning tool for me to get better and better and better every time.
Yeah, because story is king. Story is
Absolutely.
king. And I'm a red-blooded heterosexual man, and I love looking at women, but ain't no amount of naked women going to make me sit there and watch a bad script. And I might watch her part, but then I'm turning it off.
Right. Or,
You know?
or like you say, or it's a situation where if that's all you try to do is put in a whole bunch of sex, for example, to offset that you have a poorly written script, then that's not going to even be memorable. Like you said, you and a number of people, marriage passed, and it still is. But for that first month, it came out January the 20th. For that first month, it was trending like crazy. And people, even now, I see online, the movie came out 3 months ago. They're still talking about it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's what I want. If you got a good story, that's the kind of stuff that sticks with you. Like the fact that, old girl over here was naked and shaking her ass. Okay, well, that was cute. I don't remember nothing about the story. I don't even know what the movie was called. You know what I'm saying? I want that. I want my stuff to stick with you long after the movie is over. And you're like, man, that marriage, I'm gonna watch that again, bro. That's what I need to see. That's how I know, what, I'm doing something right. Because I want my stories to resonate, stick with you, make you think, and just to, really, I don't know, like I say, just really stick with you long after it's over.
Yeah. Did you move your mic? Because something, your mic changed a little bit.
Oh, no, I didn't. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, there
I'm
you
not
go.
sure what happened there. I don't have a microphone.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and again, it was such an amazing film. And let's talk about Played and Betrayed, another phenomenal film.
Thank you.
They were an interesting couple.
They were.
And sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm questioning him, and I'm saying, dog, are you not seeing what's going on? And oftentimes that will happen in a relationship when they've been together for a while and there's
Yeah.
some taking for granted
Yeah.
of the other partner. And I
Mhm.
think he was taking
Or
her for granted.
you get complacent. Yeah.
Yeah, but then on her side, and this is something that my wife and I talked about for a long time, and you grow in things. I don't know what's wrong if you don't tell me. Ain't
Right.
no mind reading going on up in here.
There you
So
go.
if you have an issue, I need you to voice what that is.
Yeah.
So because I can't fix what I don't know is broken.
There
So
you go.
so tell us about the Play to Betrayed and how that script came about.
All right. So Play to Betray. You remember I told you that now that I have a great relationship with this producer, same producers, they were the ones that came to me about Play to Betray. They had an idea. They had an idea. We got this couple and they've got no place in their marriage and they go on vacation, they meet this other couple and some sinister stuff happens and it's just not what they think. They basically gave me that. And I was like, okay, we're gonna take it and run with it. So I sat down, I started outlining, kind of mapping out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. The thing about me, if you see, like with Marriage Pass, I love thrillers. You know, thrillers, kind of borderline horror, but thrillers. And you kind of weave that in with some relationship elements. To me, it just makes for some really dope stories. So that's how bad, relationships and thrillers. Like that's what we're talking about. So this to me was kind of in the same vein of Marriage Pass. You know what I mean? As far as okay, twists, turns, things are not what they seem. Some stuff is taken on, maybe some murders. What's happening here? Keep the audience guessing. So I was so happy to come on board with Played and Betrayed to really bring that one time because that one was their idea, but I took their idea, their paragraph of an idea, and I fleshed that out into what you see, the hour and a half script that you saw. So that was fun.
Yeah, that was a very interesting script, and th I loved the twist. Now, again,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna tell folks what happened because I want you to go watch another Tubi original by the phenomenal Briana Cole on Tubi again called Played and Betrayed. Because as you got into the film and you watched it, and then something started to transpire, and then they have the little dust up, and you're
yeah,
thinking, okay.
yeah.
And then the other thing happens. Now, y'all keep saying, why is he saying this and saying that and saying the other thing? Because I want you guys to go watch it.
But you know what though, and I appreciate you for it because that's the thing about me. I'm not gonna lie, that's my signature. Boy, I love a good plot twist. I love a good plot twist. So I'll get in there and got the story like a rag, just bringing it and twisting it like, okay, what else can happen? That makes sense. Nothing
Right.
perfect, but it's gonna make sense within the realm of the story. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I want to say that was a fun one too, and that's different. Play to Train was different. I hadn't seen anything like that. So
Yeah, and the ending was very interesting.
yeah, it was
The
interesting.
ending was very interesting because oftentimes we think we got it going on.
Yeah,
And when what she said, what the wife said at the end, I said, oh, so there were some things being hidden that the husband, if he had known, maybe he would have moved a little differently.
differently. Right, right.
So what's next for you? What's next?
Oh my goodness, what is next? Well, like I said, I got those two movies up. I mentioned it before. I have three scripts that I just finished with the same producer. So one script they finished filming also in Canada. They're done. One is filming as we speak in LA. And the third one films starting Monday in Atlanta, and I will be on set for that because that's going to be exciting.
Mm.
So I've got these three films that will be coming out this week with some more in the pipeline as well. So, like I said, they kind of opened the door for me to let me do what I do, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I've been consistent and give them good quality stuff, so they keep coming back to me, and they open the door for me as well for me to pitch my projects to them if I have other projects I want. So it's kind of a great relationship that we're building and have built. So yeah, it's only up from here. I've got a few things I'm working on. I'm working on a script. So aside from those scripts with that producer, I'm working on 2 Christmas movies that I want to pitch. I'm working on 2 more book to film adaptations from 2 more of my books. And I'm working on a script that I plan to submit to see if it's eligible for an Oscar. So yeah, we got big things happening around here. It's only up from here.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Last question. And you know what? I had like 2 cards of questions that I didn't even get to ask you. So that means
I'm
you're gonna have to come
sorry.
back. Oh, no,
You
no,
know
no, no,
I'm a
no.
talker. I run my mouth.
No, that's not on you because guess what? You a talker and I'm a talker because my wife would tell you that I talk. I
Okay,
love.
it works.
I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm a talker. My wife's like, you gonna be there all night. No, you just gonna have to come back.
I would love to. I would love to.
And we gonna finish this out. But the last question that I have for you, besides where people can find you, is what is spicial romance?
So spiritual romance, oh my goodness, I coined that term a long time ago when I first came into the industry as an author. And basically it's spicy and sensual and stimulating my audience mentally, physically, emotionally, intellectually, all of that. So it's really just immersing my audience in a spicy and sensual type of narrative, which that's going to always be. I'm going to always have that. And then it's going to be but I've definitely been dipping my toe in other genres at the same time. But one thing that has been consistent about me is you will get a thrilling story every time. And like I said, I want to immerse you into the story, like I said, and what we mentioned earlier, and leave you thinking about it long after the story is over. So
Yeah.
that's all kind of in the spiritual umbrella.
And both of those films were that.
Thank you.
Because and again, it was spicy, it was sensual, it was sexual, but it was tasteful.
Tasteful, yeah. I just don't want to just come out the box and just, like we said before, it's just, you basically watching glorified porn. Like I'm not, and there's nothing wrong with the erotic genre. I'm not saying that's what that is, but I actually used to be an erotica author, but I knew there's a space for that, there's an audience for that, and I knew I wanted to move into a different direction. So that's why I kind of shifted gears with the types of stories that I write. And like I said, I write what I like to read. I write what I like to watch. And that's how I'm able to bring an authentic voice, and my passion hopefully shines through with everything I do.
It does. You did an absolutely amazing job. So I have to watch your other film that we'll talk about when you come
Okay.
back. Pseudo.
Yeah, so Pseudo is one that, I wrote that one, but that one is, I actually put the money behind that one myself. That was my first baby. I funded that one, and I had a hand in everything. I actually co-starred in it too. So yeah, that was a time, but also a good story. Also a great story with a twist.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the trailer and I'm saying, okay, well, either he cray, or she playing him.
What's going on? Yeah.
Okay, what's up with that? Okay, so this has been amazing. So where can people find you?
Yes, so I have done really, really well with my SEO optimization. I'm very, very proud. If you Google Briana Cole, I'm the first ones that come up. My face, my books, all that good stuff. So Briana Cole, pop me in Google. I promise you. First, top of the page, I'm there. You can also go to my website, brianacole.com. That's Briana with one N, BrianaCole.com. I am very active on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. Went viral over there a few times. Twitter, not so much, but I'm there. I definitely try to stay active on all social media platforms. So you can find me at Briana Cole Official across social media platforms as well. But like I said, if you Google me or go to my website, brianacole.com, all of my good stuff will come up. You'll be able to find me.
Okay, I said that was the last question, but you brought up the SEO optimization.
What's
And
up?
I am huge on people in this business treating it as such.
Yes.
So can you explain the importance of SEO optimization, or for those who don't know what that term is, search engine optimization, and having your name be the first thing that pops up when they do a search? How important is that for a creative?
It's very important because remember, like we said earlier, not only are you building your name and exposure, right? But you want to be accessible. I mean, you don't want to ever find out that somebody was looking for you, whether a producer or whomever was looking for you and they can't find you, or they found the wrong person or whatever the case may be. So it is very important for you to not only expand with your exposure just in the real world, the physical world, but in the digital world as well, because like I said, I want to always be able to be located should you need me. So that's always the first thing I say, because you may not always remember my social media handles. You may not remember my website, but you remember my name. And if you remember my name and you Google it, there's my face. And you're like, oh, there she is. You don't want to have to be, well, where is it? How is it? She. And then, before you know it, you've lost out on an opportunity just for not being accessible. So it's very, very important. That's why I've, like I said, I've done really, really well with trying to, boost that and keep that going, because I always want to be found. If you're looking for me, you can find me. And I want that to always be the case.
Well, we will end it there, ladies and gentlemen. And again, that is so important, search engine optimization, because as I like to tell people all the time, you are a sole proprietor.
You
And
are.
if you are running a business and folks can't find your business, then you ain't doing no business.
Doing no business.
It's real simple. But Briana, it has been such a pleasure talking with you for the last hour, and we are definitely going to do this again, because again, there are so many questions that I had that I didn't get to ask, but I know that you have some things you have to get done tonight, because I caught you coming home from work and I don't want to monopolize your time.
You
But
are
again,
fine.
this has been great, and I hope that everyone has enjoyed this conversation. And please go back and listen to it, and if you'd like to share with your friends and really listen to it, because tonight you got some gems from someone who is really doing the thing. Please go look her up. Don't take my word for it. She's easily Googleable. Go look her up. Googleable. You know what I'm saying? So go look her up, buy her books, watch the movies, and leave some comments on her books. Leave some phenomenal reviews and leave some reviews on the movies. Now, you're not going to leave any bad reviews on the movies, because they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal films. They really are.
Thank you.
Again, if you like the show, please share it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to Apple, because I would love to keep bringing guests like this on the show. But Briana is definitely going to be coming back, because now that I've talked to her once, I got to talk to her like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times.
I love it. I love it. And I'm here for everyone, Floyd.
Yeah. One thing that I love to do, if you have the opportunity to watch any of my other podcasts, sometimes I bring 3, 4, 5 writers together, filmmakers together, and we get on a panel and we just talk shop.
Yes, I would love that.
I would love to have you on. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining myself and the amazing Briana Cole on a conversation with. And as I end it every other time, I end it. Love it like a hobby, but above all else, treat it like a business. Everyone have an absolutely amazing and phenomenal night. Peace.